There we go. We are live. We are live with another NASP that's not a podcast. This is a webinar. It's a live workshop event. We got my man Reuben in the house. How are you, Reuben?
Great. Happy to be here, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Excited to share some of your goods with some of those solopreneurs who are out there today. It was interesting. I was having a conversation with somebody, and we were talking about the breakup or the makeup of our audience. And, there is a good 15 to 20% of our audience, I think, that, we don't have exactly, but, based on feedback and responses and things like that, that are out there that are solopreneurs, and maybe even a little bit higher, maybe even 20 to 25% that are out there. Because a lot of them are solopreneur on the side, right? They got their business, and then they got their, they work for somebody, and then they got their side business. So there's a lot of people out there doing this. I think I read a stat, I can't remember where I put it now, about the number of small businesses out there that are actually solopreneurs. It's staggering. It's significant, like a majority, almost 75% or something like that.
Well, and that's where
Pretty
so
crazy.
much of the new ideas and the new jobs come from. And at the same time, I don't think that we prepare our solopreneurs for the actual sales and marketing that they need to do to be successful. And I know for me, that was a big struggle. So I'm happy to be here, and hopefully my lived experience can help some other people learn things the easy way that I had to spend years learning the hard way.
Awesome. I love that. I actually just had a great interview with Peterson. I can't remember. It's Professor Peterson from Northern Illinois University, and he teaches sales. Hey, Chris, good to see you, sir. Welcome everybody into the room. We're going to get started here in about 3 minutes. To let us know where you are dialing in from, where you're calling from, where you're signing in from. We've got Reuben Swartz here. He's going to talk a lot about the solopreneur, but this is sales stuff, y'all. This is sales stuff everybody can learn. One of the great things I do love about talking to different people is hearing from their perspective. I think that makes us really, really valuable as salespeople. So love always hearing different perspectives. Chris, great to see you out there. We're going to get started in 2 more minutes, guys. 2 more minutes. So I had a great podcast interview with the professor from Northern Illinois University, and he was saying that they have to reteach sales skills to the Gen Y and Gen Z right now because nobody's used to it. They're used to just picking up their phone and texting. And he's got to teach people how to leave a voicemail, how to have a sales call on people, and it's very foundational, but it's very funny how and it's a sales certificate too. But it's funny how people are really learning those interpersonal skills at a younger age nowadays, and I think we need to double down on that a little bit more because most people out there walk away with a degree of some sort, but never know how to truly influence from the inside out. And that's a skill we can all use, right?
I think that's absolutely true. And so much about our academic system rewards one person memorizing something and repeating it back on a test, not connecting with other human beings and having those interpersonal skills and collaborating and so on. We call that cheating in the academic world, right? So a lot of us who are very driven and type A in the academic world, you get out into the real world and you're like, crap, all of those skills are not only not as valuable as I thought, they're actually a detriment to doing what I need to do.
Absolutely. Oh man! All right, we're gonna save some of this good stuff for after the hour. We're starting in a minute, y'all. And Chris is from Tanzania, Africa. Hope things are going well over there, my friend. I've got a couple of virtual assistants in Africa who have been in the house and really struggling through this quarantine stuff. So we're sending you lots of love out there, my friend. Lots of love to all of the world. Everybody's dialing in and going through challenges. Let us start here. We give you all the love in the world. We're just sending it out, okay? It's a very tough time. You got to be empathetic these days. It's we're all going through a lot. I think we're going to look back at this with some very different eyes. But it is time to get this show on the road, y'all. We have got a great show for you today. We've got Reuben Swartz here, y'all. So we're going to do a little workshop here today with Reuben. Reuben's going to talk about solopreneur, right? And how to stop selling and show your customers how to buy. We're moving more and more into a consultative sales world. I think I heard the other day, Gen Z, 43% of them don't even want to talk to a salesperson. All right, they don't want to even talk to a salesperson in their sales process. So people are moving towards this. And
we just lost Chris. I don't know what we're going to do without Chris. Oh, he's back.
Here we go.
Thank goodness, because I'm not prepared to host this thing without Chris's help.
I don't know how this is happening. I got a low signal, but listen, we're going to get this show on the road, and I'm going to allow Reuben to talk a little bit about how we can stop selling and just lead our customers to buy, right? Education, all these great opportunities, but building rapport and relationships is where this world is going with sales. And a lot of people out there come from the perspective of my man Reuben here, who's an introvert. And he's got a great podcast, was it Podcast for Nerds or the Nerds Podcast? What is it?
Sales for Nerds. And your colleague, Rick Middlemass, was a guest on this podcast talking about sales psychology.
That's right. So go check the backlog of podcasts over at Reuben's and check out Rick Middlemass. He's always a fun listen. But Reuben, I'd love to turn it over to you, my friend. I know you've got a good presentations for us today, and we're really eager to learn. Most of us, if we're not a solopreneur right now, we've got a corporate gig or a job or a part-time, whatever it is, we're starting something on the side, right? This is the way that our generations are retiring. So, Reuben, tell them what they got and tell them how you've gone from a person who maybe wasn't prepared to sell and wasn't really looking to sell to a person who's been very successful doing so.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Chris. And again, thanks for having me. And I'd love to hear from folks if you would drop in the chat where you're calling in from. And if there's some burning issue you want to make sure we try to cover, I can't promise that I will be able to get everything, but I would love to be able to solve your particular issue while we're here if I can. As I was telling Chris when we were warming up before we got started, I spent years struggling with sales and marketing unnecessarily because I had absorbed a lot of bad habits, myths, and we'll talk about that in a second. And in fact, my mission is to help other folks learn the easy way instead of the way I had to learn, because it doesn't have to be this hard. We make it much, much harder than it has to be. So I'm going to turn on my screen share here and drop into a presentation. And all right, everyone seeing the slide? Solopreneur, stop selling and start making it easy to buy. Chris, we got a presentation up there. It's one of the.
It's down now. We can't see it now. And I can't hear you now. Turn up.
How's that?
There we go. I can hear you now. Now we can't see the screen yet.
Again.
Yeah, we got that. All right, we got Mike from Baltimore. Welcome, Mike. Dallas, Texas in the house. Jen Donaldson, Franklin, Tennessee. I know you, Jen. How you doing? There we go. We got slides. Now do we have audio?
Everyone hear me?
Oh, we hear you loud and clear. Go ahead and get a sip, buddy. We'll all take a sip out there, y'all. Just take a break, huh?
And if you listen to my podcast, you'll see that there's a lot of sipping involved, but that's a whole other story.
It's a wine guy, guys.
That's right. So one of the things that I like to think about, one of the transformations I made inside my own head was I had absorbed a lot of bad notions about what it means to sell. And I decided I'm just going to stop doing that because it's my company. I can do what I want. So I'm just going to help people instead. And I hate marketing too. So I'm just going to call it teaching people, because when I forgot that I was trying to market something and I just talked about what I was passionate about, it seemed to go well. And boy, do I hate networking, but I like connecting with people. So the irony for me was I was a computer software guy, came to Austin for computer software career, tell people I got lost on the way to California. And then I accidentally started a sales and marketing consulting company because I realized that actually the software piece was the easy part. It was getting these big companies to change how they actually behave that was hard and interesting. And I thought what usually would happen is some consultant would create a slide deck and then they would call us in and implement it. And 2 years and 3 reorgs later, I felt like we had all worked 10 times harder than we needed to get half the benefit that we could have got if the software and the strategy and the business processes were all on the same, all aligned. And that was actually a reasonable hypothesis for a naive young guy. And it worked reasonably well. And we did good work for people. And we got good word of mouth and we got repeat business. And I like to think that we delivered a lot of value for our clients. And the good thing is we did get that word of mouth and we did get that repeat business because I was absolutely terrible at sales and marketing for my own company, right? One of the things that I realized later is that there's this traditional sales team. I don't know if you guys some folks now are too young to have seen Glengarry Glen Ross, and you don't even know what Second Prize is, Steak Knives is about. But if you haven't seen that movie, go watch it. But it's sort of that typical salesperson who's driven entirely by quota and is coin operated and is just sell, 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 sell. And that's the way a lot of sales teams are. And that's the way the quote unquote sales industry behaves, because those are the VPs of sales with the money to spend on giant CRM implementations and trainings and coaching and so on. And so that's where the books and the experts and the quote unquote thought leadership goes. It goes to serve those VPs of sales who are running the 1,000 person, the 10,000 person sales organization that's turning over a third of its reps every single year. And it doesn't matter because it's just a numbers game to them. But if you're a solopreneur, you can't turn over a third of your sales capability every year, right? And you are also not just responsible for the sale, you're responsible for delivering. And I think of it much more like being a doctor, right? You're there to diagnose and treat a patient, not just to sell stuff. And I think Chris was saying earlier, a lot of people don't even want to talk to a sales rep. If you can click add to cart and check out, then you don't need a sales rep. Right? The order taking is done. We have to be consultative, or we should just make it easier to order stuff online, right? Like don't put barriers in the way if we don't actually need to talk to somebody, but there are still a lot of things that require consultative selling or helping. And so I like to draw a distinction between selling, focused on the seller, the Glengarry Glen Ross, third prize is you're fired kind of sales, versus solving a problem, which is focused on the buyer. And a lot of solopreneurs started their business because they are great at solving a particular type of problem. And what happened to me, and what happens, at first I thought it was just me, but I've realized a lot of people, we absorb these myths that, I started my company because I'm good at solving some kind of problem, but I got to be some kind of sales rock star to actually go get clients. And unfortunately, I'm not a sales rock star, so this really sucks. Or I have to be a marketing genius, which also sucks because I'm totally not a marketing genius. Or I have to be some kind of master networker. And I don't know if you guys have seen Inception, but there's a scene where the son and the father are talking, and the son never lived up to his dad's grandiose ambitions. And the dad says, I wasn't disappointed that you weren't me. I was disappointed that you tried to be me. And that's what I eventually realized. I was there working with some of the most successful companies on the planet, trying to help them increase sales and profit by X% and so on. And I was absorbing all of the wrong lessons. And the problem wasn't that those lessons were wrong for those companies, but they were very wrong for me as a solopreneur or as a guy with a small staff of, boutique consulting firm. So the big secret, the one thing I want you to take away from all of this is you actually already know that which you need. And you can be great at business development without selling or marketing or networking. And as the world changes, some of the things that Chris was talking about at the beginning, being able to solve is much more powerful than being able to sell. It's
absolutely.
Like you go to the doctor, right? And you're like, I got a knee problem. Imagine every doctor as you walk down the hallway, the brain doctor, the ear, nose, and throat doctor, the eye doctor, the cardiothoracic surgeon's like, I'm a doctor, I can help you. Right? We would never go to the doctor that way. Yeah. But a lot of us treat sales that way, and we treat marketing that way, and then we wonder why it's hard, right? We want to go to the knee doctor. We want to go to the knee doctor for middle-aged people who aren't really that athletic but want to pretend they are, right? The more they can put us at ease, the less selling is involved. So one of the things I realized is, how do we like our sales, right? Most people would rather push that slider to the easy side, right? But what most of us end up doing subconsciously is we push it to the hard side. So the fastest, easiest sales cycle that leads to the best client projects, what is it, right? It's repeat business from that awesome lifelong client that you have. It's a referral from that client to someone who's just like them. It's something right over the middle of the plate that you can excel at. It's like you don't even think about the sales process. You don't have to sell anything. You just make it easy to buy, because no one actually wants to be sold, but we all want to buy when we want to solve our problems. I don't know if you've ever been through this. Like, I'm not a big person to like shop or spend money or whatever, but when I have a problem I want to solve, I get frustrated when people make it hard for me to give them money to solve my problem, right? We've probably all experienced that at some point. You're like, hey, I just want this thing. Why won't they call me back? Because I want to give them money and fix my problem. So the biggest challenge we have here, and this is the beautiful thing, it's under our control. It's actually the solopreneur superpower. I call it mega positioning. And this sounds like one of those dorky ass marketing concepts from those books targeted at those giant companies that I would read, but it's really just a simple mnemonic. So the first thing is we have to be magnetic. And magnetic isn't just about attraction. The problem that most people have when they think about attracting clients and attracting leads and attracting business is they want to scour the entire ocean and dredge up everything. And do you really want to go through that net, pulling out all the wrong fish and lobsters and rocks and other stuff to get to the fish that you actually want? No. So magnets have to both attract and repel. So let me say that again. You have to attract and repel. You have to tune up the magnet to be as powerful as possible. And that means in order to attract the best people, you have to drive away the people who aren't the right fit, right? If you're the knee doctor, you don't hang a sign out there saying you do brain surgery or that you do all surgeries, right? You say knee surgery. But so many entrepreneurs, and I did this too, and I even thought I was doing the right thing, right? I did sales and marketing consulting. I was really focused on pricing, and I thought that was a good niche. But even within that, there were a lot of sub niches that I could have said, we do B2B pricing where the sales team is discounting too much, right? That was our bread and butter. And we did other stuff too. We did stuff in B2C and we did blah, 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 blah. But that was the bread and butter, and we were really, really good at it. And it was much better for us to get an incremental project there than struggle to get some other project that wasn't in our sweet spot. So
I love that. And real quick, how easy is it to get a bad review or to have somebody talk poorly of you when you bring in a client that's not in your wheelhouse to be successful, right? It not only puts strain on you, it ends up being not effective or efficient, and then you get an unsatisfied client or customer. It really is a move out of scarcity that does nothing but bring more scarcity.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. And so we want to attract the right people and repel the wrong people. And then next thing is, it's not about big versus small markets, because there's this natural human, and you mentioned it just now, scarcity mindset, right? We are programmed to worry about, do we have enough? Because we are evolved to be roaming around on the savannah, wondering if we're going to have a meal. We are not equipped from an evolutionary perspective to be where we are. And we don't want to go from think about big versus small markets. We want to think about easy versus hard. So the bigger the market, right? If you're a solopreneur, you can't serve 1 billion people, right? You probably have trouble serving 10 or 20 or whatever the right metric is. Get 10 or 20 or 50 or whatever the capacity you have of the best people, the awesomest people who value what you do, who let you express your genius. Don't worry about, am I Nike or Apple or Coca-Cola trying to serve zillions and zillions of people? So I'd like to say that if you find sales too much of a slog, it's because your positioning isn't tight enough. And if sales is so boring that you're kind of like just not intrigued by it anymore because it's just boom automatic, then maybe it's time to expand a little bit because you can do more. But this is the way I found to get over that psychological fear of missing out. It's like, yeah, I want more rather than less, but I really want easy rather than hard.
I love that. Hey, just a quick question before we jump to this 800-pound gorilla in the room. All right, everybody out there in the audience, drop in the chat if you too have made the mistake of going after the whole group as opposed to just targeting those perfect clients that you need, or maybe not have taken the time to really figure out who is the perfect client for me. I mean, put it in the chat if you've fallen for that trap in the past, because that's a very easy trap to fall into, trying to sell everybody as opposed to just find those perfect clients out there. So go ahead, Reuben, back at you, my friend.
I think that's a great point, and I think it's something that also you can iterate on over time. We're lucky, especially in this day and age, we can change our positioning, we can change our messaging, and I'll talk about how we can do that more effectively in a second. But We don't have to be locked into something. That's another fear that people have. So the G in mega is for gorilla. Like a lot of us want to compete in that big market with bigger companies. When I was a consultant, I thought my competition was Accenture and McKinsey and Deloitte and some other companies because they were in at the same companies I was. And sometimes people would say, well, we got a quote from McKinsey and it was too expensive, so we turned to you or whatever. So I thought I was competing with McKinsey. I was not. Right? Nobody thought, oh God, we're going to hire this guy and his band of merry gorillas or whatever, versus we're going to have 100 people from McKinsey in here for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And so when I tried to position my company to compete with those other firms, it was completely ineffective because obviously I couldn't. Right? If you needed McKinsey, we couldn't deliver what the manpower and the other stuff that you wanted. And at the same time, the folks who were looking for not McKinsey were like, well, gosh, got a great recommendation for Mimiran, but I went to their website and they look an awful lot like McKinsey. So we want to define our market so that within our market, we are the 800-pound gorilla. We are the McKinsey, the Nike, the Apple, the Coca-Cola, whatever it is. And it doesn't matter how small that market is. It could be, tax attorneys in this neighborhood. But whatever it is, it should be that if somebody is in that market, that ideal market that you've defined, you are the natural choice. Right? If you are trying to make your market too big and you end up competing with the McKinseys or the Nikes or the whomevers, that's when sales gets hard. So keeping things laser focused so that you are the natural choice is super powerful. And then A is authentic. So I spent a lot of time trying to impersonate sales reps and marketing people and all these folks that I saw at my clients who were good at sales and marketing, and I was not. And I made it exponentially worse by trying to be someone I wasn't. And every once in a while, I would forget that I was in a quote-unquote sales meeting, and I would just be talking with the prospect, and we would just be discussing the problem. And it went great because they knew that I knew what I was talking about, that I cared, that I was a decent human being. And lo and behold, that would be much more effective than trying to go through the sales checklist and the other stuff. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be organized. And some people might be authentically a great salesperson. That's fine too. But the idea here, and Bob Berg said it so well, he also came on Sales for Nerds, but the fifth law in his book, The Go-Giver, is the law of authenticity. You have a powerful gift to give to people. And a lot of us underestimate what that is, and we try to be like everyone else.
I love that. Alignment and redirection, right? If you before you redirect, before you sell, before you offer, you got to take the time to align and build that rapport. And you only do that from an authentic place of integrity and externally focused, right? When you try to build rapport in an inauthentic way, it's even worse for you than not even taking the time.
Absolutely, and it's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Trying to be someone else is so tiring.
Oh, it's so true. So true.
So recap on mega positioning: magnetic, easy, gorilla, authentic. That's it. Do that, and life will get a lot easier. And I like to think of this as the bar test. So I go through this exercise with a lot of people, and everyone's initial inclination, which was the same as my inclination, which was like, I'm going to sound like McKinsey with a bunch of bullshit. And that doesn't mean that everything McKinsey does is BS, but if you go to their website, there's a lot of jargon, right? At least there was when I went there and tried to make my website look like that. If you got introduced to your ideal prospect, if Chris McCoy comes up and says, hey, Reuben, you got to meet so-and-so. They are looking for someone just like you. First of all, who is that person who's getting introduced? What do they say their problems are? And then what do you tell them, right? You don't tell them a bunch of BS jargon. You just talk to them like a human being. And that's how you need to be talking to people when you're not at the bar. That's how your website needs to be talking to people. Your LinkedIn profile needs to be talking to people. And, depending on how you talk to people at a bar and how many drinks you've had and how much profanity is involved, maybe you want to just dial it up a little bit professionally. But the whole point is get rid of all the nonsense and just talk to people human to human. And if we're talking to the right people about the right stuff, it doesn't feel like selling. Right? If I'm talking to my knee doctor about my knee, and this is like a great knee doctor, I don't get the feeling, oh, he's trying to trick me into the most expensive, lucrative surgery possible, right? If I get that feeling, I'm out of there. But so many sales conversations go that way because we're not even talking to the knee patient, right? We're trying to talk the elbow patient into the knee surgery. And that's when things go really badly. So If we have strong positioning and we have an active network, that's going to lead to great referrals, right? Most solopreneurs do not do a great job with their positioning, and they don't do a great job with their network, especially for the past year. And so then you don't get great referrals, and you're on that feast or famine roller coaster, wondering, like, is something going to come in? So we want to know who refers you business and how much do they refer to you, right? Who are those people that really help drive your business? And make sure that we're maintaining relationships with them. And relationships are built on conversations. And as someone who's a tech-focused person, an introverted person, I spend a lot of time avoiding conversations and thinking, oh, well, I emailed them, or I put them on my newsletter, or I sent them a LinkedIn post or something like that. No, we have to do back and forth conversations. That's how humans work. Even us introverts, I promise it's not as bad as you think. If you're sitting there saying, well, that's great for you, you must be some kind of sales guy. No, this was a deliberate change I made in my life, that I was going to structure the way I talk to people, because I was like, wait a second, how come I really like having conversations with people, but I avoid having conversations with people constantly? And I realized that so much of it was I wasn't being proactive about creating the kind of conversations I love to have. And a lot of it goes back to positioning, right? I was trying to talk people into knee surgery who didn't have any knee problems, as opposed to finding the people with the knee problems and telling them how to strengthen their knees. Even if they're not ready for surgery, let's just give you some exercises that are going to help you, right? Like, that's stuff that we can all enjoy talking about. And so
I love this too, because everybody always talks about call reluctancy and, I don't like cold calling. Well, it's because you're just blind dialing. Know who you're calling, know that they have a challenge, know that there's a problem, and then call that person knowing that you've got a golden ticket for them. It changes your perception of everything. And so I love this concept of, look, don't go fishing in a frozen lake without all the ice fishing gear. No, dude, fish in the fresh lake. Fish where the fish are going to bite. I really like that concept.
Yeah, and somebody, like, I used to make myself do cold calls. I tried because I was trying to imitate these other sales. I haven't made a cold call in years, but I have way more conversations than I ever had, and they're much more productive. So you got to actually put some time into nurturing your network. If you don't have time blocked off on your calendar, I would recommend on a weekly basis to have actual conversations with your referral partners. Do that. It will change your world. Now, the other thing is, we want to go beyond just getting referrals. We want to get leads from sort of on our own steam, if you will. So strong positioning plus that authenticity, is great for getting leads from your website. And your website has one job: generating leads. And I was very confused about this for a long time. I thought it was to prove that I was smart and that I had the ability to use a lot of MBA buzzwords. And it turns out that might be great for the SAT vocab section. It is not so great for turning visitors into leads. So your website has one job: it's generating leads. And this is where the teach, don't market comes in. When we know who our ideal prospect is and what they're struggling with and how we can help them, we can start teaching them right there on our website. So we can add value to their world the second they come in via content on the website. And then we can offer helpful lead magnets to give even more value to our ideal prospects. Right? Imagine you're the knee doctor, and here's the list of exercises you should be doing if you have this form of knee pain or whatever. Something that is going to attract that visitor to become a lead. And then share your origin story. This is where the authenticity comes in, because so many websites out there, it's like, I can't tell one from the other. And it's not the design or the pixels or the color scheme or whatever. It's that they all sound like BS. And especially if you're a solopreneur, if you're a solopreneur and you have a bunch of about us and we this and we that, and I know I've been there before, get rid of it. Me, there is one person here, there's a human being, and you have a superpower, right? If you call a solopreneur and the solopreneur picks up the phone and talks to you, that's very different than I'm calling a giant company and talking to a call center. Embrace it. Don't run away from it. The people who want the giant company aren't going to be fooled by your about us section. So
such a brilliant point that we have all overlooked so many times, because all you're doing is putting a mask on. Eventually, you're gonna have to take the mask off, and nothing will ruin a relationship more than disalignment, not being aligned with the story that you're telling.
And you just wasted a whole bunch of time on something that doesn't work, doesn't make anyone happy. Instead of let's focus on where we can shine.
Love it, Reuben. Love it. This is applicable for everyone out there. Really, really digging this. Go ahead.
All right. So traditionally, lead magnets are, you come in, here's a form on a website. People tend to tune that out. And then they say, get our ebook, get our PDF or whatever. I don't know why we're still doing this in 2021, because PDFs are just terrible on mobile. They don't let you get information back from prospects or embed video, and they don't tell you each time somebody is reading it. And for me, this is critical because when we're in this consultative world, it's not enough to get an email address. That's nice. We can add them to our newsletter and all that, but we need to have a conversation to see if we can really help. And so I'll tell you in a second about a different approach. But the idea is we want our website to bring us leads. Now, the traditional CRMs are built for the VP of sales, right? They're the ones that sign the big checks. And there's lots of data entry that doesn't add value. They're not really very good at getting new leads because the marketing team is responsible for getting new leads, doing who knows what. They don't track referrals. I can never understand this. Now, of course, if you set them up, you can customize them to track. You can make them do whatever you want. And they are great tools for the VP of sales at Dell or whomever, right? And I'm not trying to knock the tools. They're amazing. But man, if you are trying to fly a freaking space shuttle as a solopreneur, I don't know about you, like I have tried so many CRMs. I never, ever set out to build one. That was the last thing on my mind. But it's like you start out and you're excited and you're turning the dials and switches and knobs, and then it's actually overwhelming because it doesn't actually fit for what you want to do. And a lot of it is, requiring you have a marketing team and you already have a pre-existing sales plan that you can sort of implement in the system, and it doesn't help you with the actual proposal. So I wanted a new approach by, of, and for people who actually hate selling. And Love as it. Bob Berg told me, he's like, Reuben, you don't hate selling. You just are misinformed about what you think selling is, which I thought was a fair distinction. Yes. Right. So I think about how would you talk to a friend, right? You don't sell your friend, you help them. You don't market to them, you teach them. If someone comes to you and says, I need help snowboarding or whatever it is that you're really great at, you just teach. And you don't network with your friends, you connect with them human to human. So I wanted something that would kind of turn the whole sales paradigm on its head and let me help teach and connect instead of sell, market, and network. So as we talked about before, step one is like, let's figure out who the heck we're trying to help and how we help them and how we're different so that we can make it easy. So there's a little wizard, like you go through and you just say, who's my ideal client and what do I do for them and what are their characteristics and so on. And it'll generate some sample copy for your About Us page and your LinkedIn profile and so on. And I will say from going through this, I do webinars where all we do is go through this screen. And it's so hard for everybody, even people who are awesomely successful at business. And that's okay. You go through it. If you're stuck, have a glass or two or three of wine, and then go call your past clients, your best clients, your most awesome clients that really light you up when you just think about them, and ask, what did you buy from me? Because sometimes it may be different than what you think you sold them, and they will help you put this together. It's like the old CEO of Porsche said, if you listen closely enough, your customers will tell you what business you're in. And if you're stuck here, that's a great place to get some insight. And then to further refine this, think of this as don't be a something, be the someone. So I want everyone to have a superhero name. And here are some actual superhero names, right? Someone who's not a coach, they are the change energizer. Someone who's not a CPA, they're the paycheck protection specialist. Someone's not an email marketer, they're the hotel email superstar, and so on and so forth. And of course, a superhero doesn't have a bio or resume, they have an origin story. So we want to tell the origin story. That's the interesting story for people who want to entrust their business problems with you as a solopreneur, right? How did you get to where you are? And then as Stacey Brown Randall, who is also a guest on Salespreneur, said, the referral report is probably the most valuable asset in your business, right? Who's giving you how much business? And if you don't have that, put it together. This tool makes it really easy, but if you've got a spreadsheet or you've got something, like just be deliberate about who is giving you business. And I'm not saying we're going to, sort of quantify and transactionalize all our relationships, but we want to know who are sort of our gold star power partners that we probably need to be talking to more frequently. Maybe sending a bottle of whiskey to. I had a friend who, I've got her, she just published a novel. I'm so proud of her. It's sitting here on my desk. And I didn't think anything about it, right? I just read a draft that she had written earlier and offered some feedback. I come home yesterday, my doorbell rings, and a bottle of whiskey shows up at my door with a little note saying, "Thanks for reading that draft." And I'm not saying whether that's the appropriate thing here, but do you know who's really driving your business forward? And then when it comes to getting more leads from your website, you can do some checklists, you can do interactive forms, you can do embedded video, make sure it's mobile friendly, and most importantly, know when they're reading it. Especially as solopreneurs, we can't count on the law of large numbers. We don't have a big sales team. We don't have thousands of leads, most likely, but each lead could potentially be really valuable. So we've got to get to that conversation. And I know from personal experience, it's nice to get that notification, "Hey, so-and-so requested your lead magnet." A lot of times that happens, well, I was in a meeting with a client for 4 hours. By the time I get out and call them back, it's too late. But I get that notification again next week, next month, several months down the road even, manage to call, have a great conversation. And then the nice thing here is we already know what we're going to talk about. We're not selling them anything. We're talking about, "Hey, what did you think of those knee exercises?" or whatever the subject of the lead magnet was that's focused on them and their problem. Absolutely. And this leads to the next step is we want to have more conversations. So one is when we get leads from our website, we want to actually just talk to those people. And I've had so many lovely conversations with people who pull stuff off my website, and some of them become clients, most of them don't. But it's always just this easy, natural thing because I know what they care about, and I'm just there to help them with that thing. I'm not there to sell them on anything. But then we also tend to underestimate the power of the people we already know. So put some time in your calendar. And if you struggle with actually making the calls, I used to do this with my CRMs. I was like, okay, I've got hundreds of people I need to call. And I would agonize over who I should call next instead of just talking to people. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the reasons when my customers said, "Hey, Reuben, just make this thing a freaking CRM already." And I said, no, I don't want to do that. The world doesn't need another CRM. I was like, gosh, you know what I would really like to do? I'd like to know when I should next talk to somebody and have the system remember that for me so I never forget about somebody. And I wanted to just say, talk to this person now, call Chris McCoy. So, click start call mode and just call that person. You can obviously take it with you on your mobile as well. And what all this means is, here's basically the revenue equation, right? Opportunities times close rate times price over time is how much dollars per time you get. And if you do this, if you get that strong positioning and you get your website to generate leads, you're going to get more opportunities. And if you're talking to the right people and you're talking consultatively like a doctor, you're going to close better. And if you're authentic and you're providing great value to them, you're going to be able to charge more and discount less. And you're going to do this all in less time because you're not going to waste all the time with all the wrong people. That's when we get really frustrated because sales is hard if we're trying to swim upstream, right? Let's make it easy. Now, if you do these things, the math doesn't lie. You're going to get more dollars in less time. And I think something that's really hard for us as solopreneurs, I know I struggle with this already, is like I don't want to sell to begin with, and I'm not accountable to my boss. I'm the boss. But what if we could get some of the benefits you get of being on a sales team without actually being on a sales team? And the big thing for me is just like I have a leaderboard of other solopreneurs, and all we look at is how many conversations are you having, right? I don't know, right? Somebody could have had $1 million deal with one conversation. Someone else might have had 30 conversations and not closed anything. I don't know that. That's fine. It's just kind of like, it's like knowing how many times did your friends go to the gym? They may or may not be dunking a basketball, and I'm barely like, tying my shoes on, but at least we know we got off the couch and went to the gym. And this is something that it's one of those silly human psychology things that I've seen tremendous results from, because so many people buy into this, like, yes, I get it. I need to talk to more people. I can see how that would be great. How many people did you talk to last week? Well, so. But, oh, man, Reuben actually talked to that many people? Well, in that case, how hard can it be, right? And once you get the ball rolling, then it's good. And then every once in a while, I log in and I'm like, gosh, I've got another half hour before I go pick my kids up or whatever. Instead of doing some research on the internet or whatever, I'm actually just going to go talk to some more people. And then when you have great conversations, automate the proposals, the NDAs, all that good stuff. make it really easy and templatized, but also super customized to that person so that they're still the hero. So that's Mimiran. That's my new take on CRM for solo consultants. It's got a positioning wizard like we talked about, referral tracking, call mode, lead generation, proposal automation with e-signature, peer leaderboard, and so on. If you're wondering, is there a CRM out there that will actually work for me? I've tried my spreadsheets. I've tried these other really powerful tools and been frustrated. Give it a shot. There are free and paid plans available. And lastly, I will say, started doing sales and marketing boot camp during the whole pandemic quarantine thing. And so just a 4-week program that actually makes sales and marketing fun. And you can see people who've gone through it. They've had a great experience. You can find out more at mimiran.com/bootcamp. It's $497. If you tell me, hey, I'm on the Chris McCoy webinar with you, it's $197. Just send me and let me know. And
right, you said Chris McCoy. Don't even mention NASP or any of that other stuff.
No,
Chris McCoy is the important part.
all about the individuals. You can also use NASP. That's fine too.
Yeah.
But Chris and I have a human relationship. And if we didn't, there would be no NASP Mimiran webinar, right?
Absolutely. And listen, he does what he says. He follows up. It's in the system, and you can tell that it's like, hey, it's time to talk again. Like, let's refresh. And I appreciate that. This has been, Reuben, this has been great. We went a little over our time today, but do you got anything you want to wrap with, Reuben?
Well, here's my info. If anyone has more questions, and apologize for running out of time.
No apologies. Everybody stayed on.
If there's any questions or concerns, I'm happy to stay on a little bit longer. I don't know whether Chris is. And I'm here to help. This is my mission in life because I struggled with this so badly for so long, so unnecessarily. I don't want anyone else to have to do that.
Love it, Reuben. Well, hey, y'all, would you put your information back up, Reuben, so people do want to find you? Put that up real quick. Listen, y'all, this is why we're here, is to show you more resources. And also, if you notice, what did he do the whole time? He added value the whole time, right? Gave away value, gave away insight, and something that we can all use and apply. So I love it. Reuben, you've been amazing. Y'all, if you want to find Reuben's information, definitely track him on social media. Check out Sales for Nerds, great podcast. Get on LinkedIn, tag him, reach out to him. And if you are a solopreneur out there looking for a way to keep your business in one place and really have some accountability and some focus and some support, that's counter from that big world of corporate America that you're working in right now, Reuben's definitely the guy to talk to, and his tools are definitely leveraged by some amazing solopreneurs. So thank you all for being here today. Don't forget to go to NASP. Most of y'all are members already, but if you're not a member, we're putting value like this out all the time. Get on our mailing list. Get on, become a member, NASP.com. And we got a lot more coming. We will see you all next Thursday. The recording of this will go out. And thanks, y'all, for being here. Have fun. Sell, and be yourself. Be authentic. Build relationships and build rapport. Let the sales take care of themselves. Thanks, Reuben. Appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, everyone, for joining.
Awesome. Cheers, guys and gals.